Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started today. Welcome everyone to our Survivor Saturday webinar. We have a very special guest that we're going to be hearing from today. Her name is Brandi Benson, and she is a very inspiring writer, speaker, veteran, entrepreneur, and Ewing sarcoma survivor. So we're so excited to have her today. Really, the Sarcoma Alliance was created because our founder, Suzanne Leiter, it took her 4 years to find another survivor of sarcoma. So we're joined today by Brandi and in that theme, and excited to hear her message today. So Brandi, take it away.
Thank you so much. So first of all, thank you to everyone who has come and joined us today. You could have been anywhere in the world and you decided to come here and have a really nice discussion. So I'm very appreciative of that. And I'd also like to say as a little disclaimer, so what I'm going to be talking about today is my experience with sarcoma cancer, what I did. And so what I did may not translate or work as effective for another individual because we are all very unique and we're all different. So just to give a heads up about that. So today is Survivor Saturday with Brandi Benson, and I'm so excited to chat with you all. Next slide, please. So today we're going to discuss a little brief introduction about myself. We're going to find out a little bit about what sarcoma really is, a couple of statistics with that, my journey to diagnosis, what I went through, the individuals that I met, and really just how it all came about and where I was at the time. And survivorship, a couple of things that people don't talk about. So after cancer is over, everything is done. You've been on this really strict regimen of when to do chemotherapy, when to go to your doctor's appointment, what doctor's appointment to attend. Now it's over. Now it's kind of like, what do you do next? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to close off with what I'm doing 13 years later after cancer. Next slide. So I am Brandi Benson. I'm an American speaker, author, entrepreneur. I'm a veteran and the brand ambassador for the Sarcoma Alliance, which I'm just so excited to be a part of because I feel like it definitely lines up with my visions and my goals for sarcoma. And of course, research is very important, but I believe that it's so important to help people immediately right now. And that's what the Sarcoma Alliance is all about. It's helping people right now with the education or the support or financial advice, just getting them the help that they need right now. Because if I'm somebody who is sick right now, yes, research is great, but I may not have another year or 3 years to have the cure that everybody's looking for that's going to save me. So I need services now. So I'm really excited to be partnered with them. And then in 2009, after being diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma cancer, I had to rediscover myself. I had to relearn myself. I had to reclaim my life with physical activities, other healthy living practices. And that's just basically in a nice little synopsis of what I did and how I overcame my cancer diagnosis and different things that we're going to be talking about today. Next slide, please. So what the hell is a sarcoma? First, I want to say that I love this phrase, and you can get this shirt at the sarcomaalliance.org. It's an amazing shirt, one of my favorite shirts that you can purchase there, and it also is green, which is, vitality and life. Sarcomas are a group of cancers, different types. There's hundreds and hundreds of different subtypes of this type of cancer. It's usually found in soft tissue or the bone. However, that doesn't mean that's the only way that it will occur because it does manifest in other areas in the body. You could be not feeling well. You could be having a fever. Maybe you're gaining weight or losing weight. There's all different symptoms of a sarcoma cancer, but it being present as a mass or a mass in the bone is something that is a little bit more prevalent. And it does happen in the elongated areas of the body, like the arms or the leg. 1% of this type of cancer makes up all adult cancers, which is honestly mind-blowing because not only is this cancer very rare and aggressive, but not a lot of people have it, which means not a lot of people really know about this cancer. And I feel like it's my job and my duty, along with the Sarcoma Alliance, to kind of break that stigma and let everybody know that this cancer does exist and it is out there. It's also makes up 15% of the pediatric cancers, which is the children, the kids out there. And 1 in 100 cancer patients will be a sarcoma. So again, it's really important that we are spreading this message about this cancer because it is very rare, but we also deserve as much limelight, I won't say limelight, but as much exposure and information and education as breast cancer or brain cancer or some of the other prevalent, well-known cancers out there. Next slide, please. So the C word, this is something that I would have never felt so passionate about speaking about, 13 years ago. I would have never guessed that somebody who was in such great shape, and I was in the military, I was in the army, I was at the top of my health game, basically, that somebody like me would get sick. And I thought the only people that did get cancer were those who had poor habits. They ate, they didn't have very healthy diets. They didn't exercise. Because I didn't fit that frame, I just thought I was invincible. And that's something that's not true because cancer is like an aimless bullet and anybody could get cancer at any time. So in 2008, I ended up joining the military. I was in the US Army for a very brief amount of time. And while I was there, right after basic training, and it's called AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training, right after that, I got stationed at Fort Carson in Colorado. I was there for 1 month and 9 days. And that's my main duty station. This is the place I'm supposed to be at. And normally when you're on the job, you kind of have a 90-day window, 3 months to get to know the job, to see how everything is going. But with the military, or my experience, I was shipped out right away. So I get to my main duty station there for 1 month, 9 days, and I go immediately to Iraq. And now I have to take all of my training, all of my experience that I've gained in this little 6 months of time frame that's really crammed, and I have to implement this into actual real life scenarios. So I just learned how to shoot a gun, throw a grenade, manhandle a 50 cal, find if a collapsed lung was somewhere. I just learned all this stuff, and now I have to go to war, fight for my country, actually do all this, and I was not prepared at all. So when I finally got to my duty station, or my deployment area, which is called FOB Echo, it was about 4 months into it, and I was experiencing extreme fatigue. I was so exhausted. I was so tired. And I didn't know that that was one of the symptoms of this type of cancer. And I thought it was because I was deployed. I'm 24 years old. I'm in the middle of a war zone. It's Christmas time. Maybe all of these feelings that's going on is just too much for me to handle. And that's why I'm so tired. Another month goes by. So that's about 5 months. It's now January. And I noticed that there's a lump sticking out of my leg. And I didn't think anything of it because, again, I'm healthy. Nobody has cancer in my family. I didn't know you could get cancer anywhere else in the body, especially your leg or your arms, because that's not some sort of education or anybody I knew had this type of cancer. So I go to the medic station, that's the doctors in Iraq, and they immediately know something's wrong. So they send me to Baghdad, then from Baghdad to Germany, then from Germany to Walter Reed. But during this whole time frame, I am diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma cancer, and now it's 2009. So I'm told that I may not live. I'm told that I have a very slim chance of not only not living, but I may have to amputate my left leg. I'm told that that if I do get to live, that life is never going to be the same, that I have a high probability of it manifesting and recreating itself back somewhere else in my body. I'm told that the sarcoma cancer that I have comes back either in the brain, the spinal cord, or on the lungs. So they're telling me all of this information, and I'm so scared and I'm so lost because literally 1 month ago, I was fine. Nothing was wrong with me. A month later, I'm potentially going to die. So I have to look death right in the face. And it was just something that was so surreal and so hard to accept because I was only 24 years old. I felt like I was getting cheated out of life. I felt like I had maybe possibly did something wrong. Maybe this was my karma. I wasn't sure what was going on. And I also felt like my life was just so out of control because one moment, again, I'm healthy, and the next moment I have cancer, and this is not something I wanted to have. So just experiencing that entire dynamic of having cancer, going through all the treatments, having my adductor muscle removed. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to run again, had to learn and realize that the individual that I was fighting so hard for that entire time was gone. That was somebody that was never going to come back. There was just the old Brandi Benson was gone. She was dead. She was gone. She was not returning. And there was a new person here that had gone through trauma, that had watched my friends pass away, that watched cancer in my body deteriorate myself. So I really had to learn to love myself again, to accept this new individual, and to just be okay with what's happening and what's going on. And then after treatment's all finished and done, now it's survivorship. Now it's like, how and what do I do now? So next slide, please. So now you survived. Now you've gone through all of the treatment, you've gone through the surgeries, if you had to do that, you've done the radiation, if that's something that was part of your regimen. Now I had so many questions. It's like, okay, well, cancer's done. Is it going to come back? When will it come back? What happens if it does come back? What do I do to keep it from returning? What about the scans that I'm going to be having in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year? I just had so many questions. And the doctors and the people that I was speaking to previously, they kind of just fell off because they were done. They took care of me. They made sure I survived. Now I'm alive. But now it's like the survivorship. Now the real game begins. Now the mentality of you being strong and having to face your fears and figure out different coping skills and mechanisms and resources or tools that are going to help you propel and do well in life, because depression comes along with it, because you may have watched a friend pass away, or maybe you're missing a limb, or you've gained some sort of disability like I did along the way. So it's just a lot of questions that I had lingering around that a lot of people didn't have the answers to because they hadn't gone through that. And I don't think they didn't want to not help me. They just didn't have the answers or the proper training at the time. Next slide, please. So again, now it's about embracing new beginnings. Everything's different. So now you realize the individual that you have been fighting for, this old life of yours, it's gone. So now there's this new person. You have to figure out, what do you like to do? Yes, you may have a scar. Yes, you might be missing a limb. Yes, you may have a disability. However, this is a new beginning. This is a new person, and it's time to embrace this and this new individual that you are. Next slide, please. So dealing with the new you got to learn to love yourself. I had to learn how to love myself over again. I have a huge, massive chunk missing out of my leg, but I have to learn that this is me, and I don't want to live my life feeling insecure or upset or mad, because you should be loving and embracing that body part that survived something so traumatic. So loving yourself and learning to be okay and accepting yourself is something that we're all going to have to go through and kind of just embrace and love, because the old individual is gone and we don't want to continue to live in the past. Again, it's about self-discovery as well. What can you do? You might have been somebody who could play basketball or soccer, or they ran track, or they did all these things, but now you can still do this. It's just in a different manner. You just have to take other avenues to complete the same objective, and then implementing changes. Again, if you need assistance with walking, or there's a certain specific diet that you have to incorporate, you have to make sure that you are living the best life that you can and implementing those changes to help propel and help you with your longevity in life. Next slide, please. So scan anxiety is something that's so real, and the side effects that nobody talks about after chemotherapy, after radiation, after your treatment, after all of everything that you have endured. So for me, I had so much scan anxiety. Every single time I had a test or a CT scan or MRI or PET scan coming up, I was so nervous. I was so scared. I didn't know if I was going to come there and it was going to be something positive, and now I have cancer again. I just didn't want to do it over again. And I just had to kind of, I think over time, I just learned to know that everything was going to be okay. And if in the event that it was something that I didn't want to hear, that's when I would then start being a little bit more hesitant or having more anxiety or more stress about it, because I feel like it's not healthy to imagine something that hasn't already happened that's negative. So staying in the present moment and being aware of what's going on now and living in the now is so important versus thinking about how things could be that are potentially harmful to your body. So that really helped me when I was going through my scan anxiety. And the side effects that I felt was depression. I still had PTSD from it. I had survivor guilt. I had so many friends that ended up passing away that I confide in, that had less treatment rounds than I did, that had families, that had children, that were husbands and wives to individuals. So I had a lot of survivor guilt. And another thing that they did tell me was my chances of having a family or starting a family, basically. So I'm infertile now. The fertility part of that also was ruined because it was so much harsh treatments and chemotherapy and all of those different IVs and fluids that were going into my body. It really damaged my female organs. So I can no longer have my own children physically. However, I can still adopt, and I can still, be a foster parent to somebody. So these are different things that will happen along the way. And if you do run into these things, the Sarcoma Alliance is a really great resource to reach out to if you're feeling any of this. Next slide, please. So my coping skills. So after treatment is over, survivor guilt, PTSD, anxiety, depression, all of that, I needed a really strong support system. So I had my mother who was there the entire time. I made sure I listened to what the doctors were telling me. I took all the medication I was supposed to take. And I was also listening to my body. So if I was tired, I wasn't going to stay up any longer. If I was hungry, I wasn't starving myself off of certain foods. I was eating in moderations of things. I'm definitely staying with sweets. But I think it's just important that you are aware of what is going on with your body, because your body communicates to you how it's feeling and what's going on. And being in tune with that is very, very important. And as you know, sarcoma cancer is extremely rare. It's very aggressive, and early detection is the key to survival with this type of cancer, with any type of trauma really, but especially with sarcoma cancer. Another great thing to do is journaling, meditating, reading, and just decluttering your space, having an outlet to have some sort of organization to your life. And these are different skills or different coping mechanisms that I use that helped me tremendously then, and I still implement them now. Next slide. So taking my health back. So because I felt like my life was so out of control at that time, and I did not want the cancer to return, I felt like it was in my best interest for me to take my health back. And what that meant for me was eating well. I was eating more vegetables. I was eating less processed food. I was drinking less sodas, and I was taking more water, more natural juices. I was exercising more, and I was detoxing on like a cellular level for myself. So I was sitting in the sauna for a while, and that's really great for draining out the lymphatic system. And I was also eliminating stress levels in my life. And I still do that till this day. So the news is extremely stressful for me. And so that's something I don't watch. I don't watch the news, but through Facebook or Instagram, you can click on something to see it. But I want that to be my choice. I don't want to be watching TV and then something stressful happens and it kind of triggers something. I also stopped hanging out with people that were extremely pessimistic, or it just felt like we weren't aligned on the same levels. So just eliminating your stress, and by whatever means that is for you, eliminating stress, exercising, eating well, just taking your health back and being back in control of your body, your well-being, and your mental health is extremely important, and also helped me. Next slide. So 13 years later, so after all of my treatments over, again, learning to love yourself, I really didn't know what I was going to be doing. I didn't know how the story would play out, but I knew that one day I wanted to share my story on a large platform. And I wanted to be a miracle story for those individuals who were faced with some sort of trauma. And trauma doesn't have to be something as big as facing death. It could be something small or some sort of other trivial adversity in life, like not having a great relationship with your parents or a significant other. But I was able to take my story and take all of what I've learned and use this and create a platform that I'm now able to share with individuals like yourself, and then also help other people as well. Next slide. So I'm now, I speak for the TLC Alliance. I'm a speaker there, and the topics I cover are mental health, I cover adversity, I cover overcoming the enemy inside you, which means it's a play on word basically. So the enemy inside you is adversity. It's something that's not allowing you to be the best individual for yourself, your elite version of yourself. So it's adversity, it's bad relationships, it's self-criticism. It could be some sort of bad habit you have, but whatever that is, and finding out what that is and kind of figuring out the blueprint, recognizing it, and then overcoming that and using these new tools to confront those issues when they come out in the future. I've done great, amazing campaigns with Bristol Myers Squibb. We've done a social media campaign last year. I've used my story to share and spread information on the NBC News, Fox News, Stupid Cancer. I wrote a book called The Enemy Inside Me. So I've done all of these things that have truly helped me make this a bigger picture and a wider platform to help others. Next slide, please. Yes, so we can definitely stay in touch. I always tell anybody who has sarcoma cancer or cancer in general, it doesn't have to be sarcoma, they can reach out to me. You can follow me, you can Instagram me, you can message me, and I always write back. I always try to give the best support that I can, because I know how strong and how important it is to have a stable support system. And especially coming from somebody who's been through it, that's extremely important as well. Next slide. Again, and if you guys have a story that you want to share with the Sarcoma Alliance, we would love to hear it. So please make sure that you subscribe, you follow the Sarcoma Alliance on Instagram, on their social medias as well. And if you have a story, please let us know. We would love to hear it. And it's all about sharing stories and being and growing a community of love. So thank you so much for today. And I'm excited to answer any questions that you all may have.
Great. Thank you so much, Brandi. Really, really appreciate your talk today. I think it was really inspiring. We did have a number of questions come in, and then we'd love to have folks write questions for you in the chat that we'd like to get to. So I also wanted to take a couple of folks off of mute who are also sarcoma survivors who are part of our leadership. So Susan as well. And Courtney. So Courtney, did you have a question that came in?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think a good question I was thinking about is, on scan days, how did you keep yourself calm? I know like there's a lot of buildup. You know, once you start reaching that first week where you start to kind of think about it and you're processing it. And then after you're waiting for the results, you don't know when you're going to get them, when they're going to be posted. What is the best thing you did to kind of help yourself during that time?
I kept thinking about how great the future was going to be. I kept thinking about, my mom just would always tell me, don't like get lost in the what if, and if it's negative. So what if it's positive, you know, what if it's something positive? What if it comes back? And she's like, what if it doesn't? Let's focus on what if it doesn't come back. So she would always like detour me back to being optimistic and being positive about whatever it was. So for me, mine was really not getting lost in the depression or the what if it was negative. Just thinking about, oh my God, I'm doing these scans, and just kind of just hoping and praying that it was going to be okay. But it's so easy to say that. It's so hard to do it. It really, really, really is. But my advice really is just focus on the positive. Let's not focus on something that hasn't already been delivered to you. Let's, if anything that you're going to be daydreaming about, let it be something optimistic. Let it be positive. Let it be something that's going to make you feel good.
Sure.
We had a couple of questions come in really around exercise, and given there are some mobility limitations, and as you recover from surgery, or can you share a little bit more about your exercises that you would recommend, or as you go through your journey and into survivorship?
Right. So because I was an athlete my entire life, I played basketball and soccer, and they removed my adductor muscle out of my leg. So that meant I would not be sprinting or running or bearing any weight. How I used my body was completely different now. So what I found that has helped me are aquatics, swimming in the pool, and anything that's going to allow you to take the weight off of that limb. Aquatics. So swimming in the pool or doing some sort of water exercises. That's something that's really, really great for you. And if you don't want to swim in, and that's not something you want to do, then walking. I mean, it's all about listening to your body. Don't push yourself to the breaking point where you're in pain. Your body's communicating with you and letting you know that it's not feeling well. So walking, speed walking, you could ride a bike. That's also something that's really great for me. I'm no longer a runner like I used to anymore because it really bothers my left leg. So I found that cycling has done wonders for me, not only from like a physical standpoint, but like emotionally. I feel great after riding a couple of miles, and I just feel like I've done something productive with myself. So I would say cycling, maybe elliptical, something that's not too hard bearing on the concrete, on the ground. So swimming as well is really great.
I don't have additional questions, but certainly I'm a master swimmer, and I swam through most of my chemotherapy. And I have to say that being in tune with my body was also saved my life, because I was a hysterectomy with morcellation, ULMS survivor. And, you know, I knew the difference between a real physical pain of me burning myself out or working out, and then that, ooh, wow, what's that other thing going on? It was very distinct to me that something different was happening. And you know, I go to Cedars-Sinai. Unfortunately, we were right. I would point to the two places on my body and go, there's something right here. And it was real. So thanks for bringing that point up, Brandi. I think it's critical to move toxins through your body. I was with some people earlier today. We've all gotten, you know, the vaccine, and, you know, processing toxins, keeping your blood flowing, flushing, drinking water. It's not just because you've received chemo or getting a vaccine. It should be an everyday practice. So your body's just constantly preparing for the things that might be introduced to it that are negative.
Right. So I have a question for you. So I know listening to your body is extremely important, but what, when, or if the doctor does not want to give certain tests or whatever it is because you feel like something's wrong, but they don't feel like something's wrong? Do you suggest getting a second opinion about it, or how would you go about that?
For others, you know, my team at Cedars, we know each other. We've been together now for 9 years, and those times when I've walked in and have said something's very wrong, maybe the first reoccurrence, they were a little more cautionary, just said, let's see how this goes. We'll check you in a few months. But by the time I had the second small reoccurrence, they were like, yeah, we believe you, we'll get it going. So my advice to anybody who feels like they're not being heard by their doctors is to maybe find a second opinion or another doctor. I participate in a support group for the cancer support community, Redondo Beach, and we have a tribe there of sarcoma patients. If anybody's in California or Florida, you're welcome to join those groups. But certainly I have been witness to many people in that group not getting the care they need. Maybe they went to Kaiser. I hear negative things about their health system and listening to Sarcoma, and they've had to push and advocate for themselves, and they're thriving. It's a tough balance though. When you're going through such mental fatigue, you might physically be going through some fatigue during this journey, because we're all on it together. But you got to advocate.
You do. I agree.
Yeah. I'm thinking about something like, after cancer's over, you're starting to go into recovery, you're starting to like return to normal life. How was it for you, like returning to like work initially, going back to some of your social activities, things like that, of being reincorporated into everyday life now that you're just thrown out of the womb?
Great question.
Yeah, there was everything was different. I had experience. I saw my friends pass away. I had survivor guilt. I was a completely different person. So what I used to treasure or like or want to do, I no longer found that as important. Like, I was really more focused on family. I was really focused on community. I was really focused on just spreading the message about this type of cancer and, health, and being aware of my body, really, really being in tune with it. So I kind of it just changed, like a whole new different chapter was presented in front of me. So I don't know, it wasn't like how it used to be. It was very different. I feel like I have more value now. I feel like now I have more sense of purpose of what I'm doing. I'm like moving with intent. I'm moving with purpose. Now I'm doing it for a reason. Instead of just existing in the world, I kind of want to participate. I want to help. I want to leave a legacy. And it also really lit a fire underneath my behind. Like, I was like, I don't know when I'm going to die. I almost died. I don't know if this is going to happen again. I have a list of so much stuff I want to accomplish. Like, I need to get going now. And I've been so motivated to do so many different things. So I opened up a business. I wrote a book. I went and got my master's degree. I applied to different jobs. I've modeled for Tommy Hilfiger. Like, I've done all of this really crazy stuff, but it's because I don't know when the next occurrence may happen, or a car accident might happen. It might take I just don't know what's going to happen. So I feel like it's just made me more aware, more driven than I've ever felt in my life, ever. How about you, Suzanne? How do you feel now?
Yeah, I probably could have had more therapy going through the whole process. Yeah, I know you were the beneficiary of some really good therapy, but yeah, sort of everything changes around you and within you. And, there are definitely some forced evaluations I had to make with how much I was going to invest in letting people know about what I was going through. And it's wild, during the time, there's some people you think are going to be there for you and they can't handle it for whatever reason. And then there are people maybe on the fringe that you get to know, and they ask you how you're doing, and wow, they've got a story to share. And then there's the people that come out of the woodwork and change your life and do things for you and with you and give you words of encouragement. And it's you I think you realize you have to lean towards all those new things that are good coming your way, and take off the emphasis and not stop, but put some of those other things on the back burner of people or things that aren't necessarily moving at the pace you are.
Right. Yes. I also found like the beauty in being vulnerable. I used to be so ashamed to cry in front of people. I didn't want to open up to anybody. I just wasn't like, this is years ago and this is not now. So years ago, like the human element of me was very closed off. Like it was just so different. But after cancer, I found that being vulnerable and being able to communicate your feelings and how you're feeling, what's going on, and how important mental health is, and asking questions. Are you okay? How are you feeling? Like those are things that we all need to be doing, because collectively we could be helping each other if we would be more vulnerable and be okay with it. So I found that it's okay and it's beautiful to feel vulnerable and let somebody else be strong for you as well.
Yeah.
Well said. Any other questions? Anyone want to write in the chat? Got time for one or two more?
Maybe about like how when you meet new people, I know like you are out in the world and you do a lot of work, but for people that are, you know, survivors, telling people in their life when they meet a new friend or they, you know, start a new job and things like that, like how did you go about telling people about your journey? Is it something that just rolls off your tongue immediately, or does that make sense?
Yeah. How do you introduce that you're a cancer survivor? Right. I feel like because it's a huge part of who I am now, and it's like a huge platform that I've built over the years, it's like my identity. So I let people know right away when I'm writing. I also feel like it's like a testimony for other people as well. Like, you can endure this type of trauma or this adversity. However, if I can make it, you can make it, you know. But I love sharing the story. I love telling people that I am a survivor of super rare aggressive cancer. I love just being a beacon of hope for individuals who might be feeling down or upset. And for me, when I hear other stories like that, I feel like, wow, I feel inspired. I feel like it gives hope. And with stories like that, I feel like if I can give hope and let other people know that there are miracle stories out there, and why can't you be that miracle story? Like, you don't have to give up. I just feel like it's important just to let the world know, you know. And it's also, I feel like, important because the cancer is so rare, so aggressive, not a lot of people know about it. To share that information is also like my duty now, because nobody knows about it. And it gives me time and space to express and explain what the type of cancer is and where it could be found and stuff like that. So I love sharing it. I share it all the time, kind of just rolls right off my tongue.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think I want to add to that, because what I love about when I met Brandi is we're very similar in the sense that I mantraed in my head, why can't I be the miracle? Doctor said I had a 50% chance. And I said, Susan, why are you even considering not getting through this?
Yes.
You can be the miracle.
Yes.
And this is what I tell people when I meet them. So for me, my story was complicated. Well, everybody who's here has a complicated story, but being more morcelated, you have to explain that. And a lot of people, because there's no cancer in my family. And, you know, my story used to be a lot longer because I'd have to explain the surgery and what the gynecologist did and the perimenopausal drugs that fueled this. And now, you know, that used to take a little while to explain, and I'd be emotional. And now I can pretty much talk about it. I'll give you a paragraph. I have an elevator version of what happened to me.
Yes.
When I do meet people who are going through therapy and cancer, you know, and they're having a down moment, I always, why can't you be the miracle?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you need, you know, skill, the Muhammad Ali expression, it's not the skill, it's the will. You got to have the will, and you've got to do things. You got to exercise. You got to, you know, look for the sunshine in the dark corners, and you know, because you're going to have so many ups and downs emotionally yourself. But, you know, be cautious how you're projecting it so people come towards you and not run away from you. Be careful with your words, but be honest and recognize when that conversation is right for the elevator version, or somebody's really open to learning more about it and learning what sarcoma is.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I always tell people that same thing. Why can't you be that miracle story? There's so many stories that people pull for hope and motivation. It's like, why can't you be that person? We're all the same. Why can't you be that story that people find inspiration from? The answer is you can, and you do have the ability to have that and to implement and embody that.
Yeah, I think it's an important set of words to living your best life, because back to your point, we don't know our timeline, and we're here now. So I'm enjoying this time with everybody on this call.
Right.
I'll never forget this. So I just try to I had a bagel this morning, and I've been dieting. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why I was on. I had a photo up because I was like, I'm going to enjoy this moment. Okay. Just try to take a little joy in everything you're doing, no matter how mundane it is.
Right.
To live a quality life.
Exactly.
I just wanted to make sure everyone is able to read the chats. There's some good chats coming in about, loving the miracle of your body from Ray. I thought that was really good. Ray says, doesn't really like hearing the words of fight warrior battle because it can elicit stress, but just say, loving the miracle of your body. And then Lisa said, thank you so much for an inspiring Zoom meeting. I'm a carer for my 18-year-old son with sarcoma, and you have given me hope for his future. So this is great. This is why we do this stuff. My son is 28, says Kelly. I'm caring for him. His Ewing's has come back every month after each set of different therapies. We don't refer to him as fighting sarcoma. We say healing through the sarcoma.
Yes.
I like, that's great.
Yes.
Great verbiage.
Words.
Yeah, I have a tough time with some words when people say F cancer, because I don't like it's too negative words. Warrior, I like sarcoma, survivor. There's good words that we can be applying to our community, and ones that don't negate what cancer is. I don't know how you feel about that, Brandi, but
I feel the same way. I feel like it's very important that we, I don't want to get too off on the deep end, but like our words have power. Our words are extremely powerful. What you're consistently thinking of, you're going to like manifest it into reality. So if you're somebody who's just thinking about, you're not feeling well, you're not happy, woe is me, and you're constantly just so negative, you're going to be projecting that. You're going to have those type of interactions in life. So if you could be more optimistic, more positive, and associate things in a better quality manner, I feel like that's just half the battle. So again, when I was going through treatment, I would constantly think about how great life was going to be, how I was going to be a miracle story, how I was going to help so many people. I talked about when this is finally over, I'm going to be a miracle story. And I remember talking to my mom, and I was like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to be a miracle story, and I'm going to share my story with everybody. 13 years later, I don't know, it's just, it happened. And we just focused on everything that we wanted to happen, and believing it and knowing that you deserve to have that is also really important. But I do agree, using more optimistic and positive terms that are associated with your disease or your disease state is really important.
Well, thank you so much. I certainly feel inspired on this Saturday after listening to Brandi, yes, and Susan and Courtney. This has been really a powerful message. And I just wanted to mention that this webinar was brought to you today by the Sarcoma Alliance. We're a nonprofit organization established back in 1999, so we've been in the space a long time. And we do provide a lot of different resources and programs outside of just this webinar. So you can visit our website at sarcomaalliance.org. We also encourage you to be part of our Facebook support group. Right now we have more than 11,000 people who are part of that incredible community, and you can share resources, information, inspirational stories along the way, and really make sure that we're there for the support and connection that you need throughout the journey. So I'm Alyssa Driscoll, I'm the executive director, and we really invite you to be part of this community if you feel like this was a benefit, and we encourage you to get more connected with us, donate at the website, and go from there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and everyone have a great Saturday. Yay!
Yes. All right.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.